Recently, Odell stated he wanted to spend his entire NFL career with the New York Giants.
I'm going to tell you, I never thought I would play for another team besides the Giants. I never wanted to win a championship for anybody more than the Giants.
But he didn't like how his time with them ended, or how the franchise didn't surround quarterback Eli Manning with more talent.
And I felt like they never put people around Eli. And I know I got a lot of shit, and they said I talk bad on Eli, and I never once said a bad thing. If anything, I speak the truth. The only thing I could look back on and be like, man, I regret saying is that he's not the same player, even though it's the truth.
The Giants made the playoffs only one time during the OBJ era. While he was putting up great numbers while healthy, he was always in trade rumors and never developed the best relationship with his coaches or Eli, which eventually got him traded to the Browns. But let's start from the beginning. First, only a handful of you are subscribed, so do me a favor and join the family. It's free, and you know what they say, the best things that come in life are free. And I'm here to provide free quality content, so hit that bell as well so you don't miss out on the content to come.
Do it! Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it!
Con OBJ.
Bishway?
November 5th, 1992, Beckham was born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He was born into a very athletic family. Odell Beckham Jr. was a star running back in high school, and he went on to play college ball at LSU, starting at running back for the Tigers from 1989 to 1992. His mother, Heather, went a step further at the school and became one of the best track and field stars in the school history. She won 3 straight NCAA outdoor titles, 2 indoor national titles, and won both indoor and outdoor SEC titles. While she was training for the Olympic trials, that's when she found out she was pregnant with Odell. She stayed in practice up until the 6-month mark, but slowed down until delivery time. The workouts went from on the track to into the pool. Little Odell went to classes with his mother and was very present around the LSU campus, with his father playing football as well at the same time. Odell was destined to be a top-level player in whatever sport he chose to play. Ronnie Visions, Beckham's childhood friend, remembered him as a kid with a mouthful of candy, always hyper and doing freaky athletic things on the playground, like a backflip out of nowhere. Ronnie said Odell had huge hands, but was always a small kid.
My grandma has huge hands, my dad has huge hands, my mom has long fingers, so it's kind of a combination of both, and that's where I get them from.
He went on to attend Isidore Newman High School in New Orleans, and with letting his athletic genes show, he was a multi-sport athlete, excelling in football, track and field, and basketball, and dibbled and dabbed in soccer as well. On the field though, he played running back, quarterback, receiver, and DB. But one of his good friends on the team wanted to play quarterback, and at a certain point, he figured it might be the best to stick to a particular position if he wanted to get recruited, so he stayed at receiver. As a junior, he caught 45 passes for 743 yards and 10 touchdowns, while also adding 3 more scores on the ground. By the end of his junior season, that's when the college coaches started to call in. He had over 20 offers, and Miami offered him on the spot at their summer camp where he was named the MVP. But he delayed making his decision in order to focus on his last football season at Newman. But he did narrow down to his final top 5, including Ole Miss, Nebraska, Mississippi State, Miami, and LSU.
The only visits I'm going to take are LSU and Miami, so...
It's pretty much been those two for quite some time, hasn't it?
It's been down to those two for a while.
Nelson Stewart, Beckham's high school coach, said every time he touched the ball, he would just take your breath away, and that Odell had a work ethic like no other. His passion and his competitiveness were his best attributes, and since a kid, he was always passionate about his game. He watched 20 times more film than any other kid had and would stay after practice working on the jug machines. Some nights, the coaches would have to turn on the stadium lights. That's how long he stayed until. As a senior, he hauled in 50 catches for 1,010 yards and 19 touchdowns. joining Cooper Manning as the only two players in school history to record 1,000 receiving yards in a single season. He was named to the Louisiana All-State first team as a wide receiver, while he would also earn statewide Offensive MVP honors and Team MVP. Rivals ranked him as the number 6 receiver and the 43rd best overall player nationally. He also played in the 2011 USA Army All-American Bowl, where he announced his commitment. Wearing an LSU hat, he grinned and flashed an L as he posed for the picture.
Like you made the right decision with LSU, didn't you?
Oh yeah, definitely made the right decision. Had to take my time, don't want to rush into anything. I'm pretty sure I found the right spot for me. So.
In the Army game, what was that experience like in the competition that you played against?
That was top 10, top 5 most memorable experience of my life. Definitely never forget it. I love competition, so the higher the competition, the better I feel like, the more I want to play.
As a true freshman, he started 9 of 14 games and made his college debut on September 3rd, 2011 against the Oregon Ducks. He scored his first collegiate touchdown on September 24th against West Virginia. It was a 52-yard reception. Beckham finished his freshman season with 41 receptions for 475 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he was named to the All-SEC freshman team. He also played in the 2012 National Championship game and started as a freshman. LSU ended up losing the game, but the very next morning, his high school coach Stewart found Odell on the practice field at Newman, running routes by himself. Stewart said that's when he knew Odell was going to be something special. He's back at his old high school at 10 a.m. in the morning to put some work in and get better. But coming off a great freshman season, he had another successful season as a sophomore, as a receiver and punt returner. He started in 12 of 13 games, and in the season opener against North Texas, he had his first college punt return for a touchdown for 70 yards. On September 29th, he had his first game with over 100 yards with 128 yards and 2 touchdowns. LSU finished with a 10-2 record and qualified for the Chick-fil-A Bowl against Clemson. Odell only had 3 receptions in that game for 40 yards as LSU lost 25-24 on a game-winning field goal by Clemson as time expired. He finished first on the team in receiving yards with 713, second in receptions with 43, and third on the team in touchdowns with 2. As a junior, Odell and Jarvis formed to be one of the best receiving duos in college football history. In a game against UAB, Beckham had 5 receptions for 136 yards and 3 touchdowns. In the same game, he returned a failed field goal attempt for a record-long 109 yards and a touchdown. A few weeks later, he had 6 receptions for a college career-high 204 yards and 2 touchdowns. He was a first-team and second-team All-SEC selection in his role as a wide receiver and return specialist. At the end of the season, he was named to the Paul Hornung Award, which is given to the most versatile player at the college level. He finished his junior season with 57 receptions for 1,117 yards and 8 touchdowns, and led the SEC with 32 kickoff returns for 845 all-purpose yards in 2013. After his junior season at LSU, he decided to forgo his senior year and enter the 2014 draft.
How do you want to be remembered when you leave here?
Honestly, I just want to be remembered as, one of the best to do it. I like to say it all the time, good is not great enough and great's not good. Really want to be remembered as legendary.
At the NFL Combine, he ran a 4.43 and had a 38.5-inch vertical. At 5'11", he wasn't projected as a future franchise player before the 2014 Combine. Some scouts worried about his size and whether he could beat bigger corners in the air despite his speed. In his scouting report, he was described as not a red zone threat. But that didn't stop the New York Giants from signing him. He was taken with a 12th overall pick in the first round of the 2014 draft. He was the 3rd receiver drafted. He signed a 4-year contract for $10 million and a $5 million signing bonus. After missing majority of the training camp, preseason, and the first 4 games of the season because of a hamstring injury, he made his debut on October 5th, 2014 in Week 5 against the Atlanta Falcons, recording 4 receptions for 44 yards and a touchdown. In Week 12 is when rookie Odell made the headlines and stepped into the spotlight of fame as he jumped backward and hauled in a touchdown reception with his one-handed grab. The catch was widely considered the best of the year and set the bar for all future highlight catches. That one-handed catch changed his life. It put him into superstar status instantly.
Like, man, I finally got that one-hander that I've been wanting. You know, I finally, receivers, we want that, like,
No doubt
that was
about
a
it.
thing growing up. Like, man, I snatched it one hand.
Right,
you know?
right.
As it happened, man, in the moment, I could not tell you that it was gonna do what it did for my life. I couldn't have told you that.
Right.
I couldn't have told you that, bro. But I just remember that night going up from like 200K to like 400K. Life, bro. And when I tell you, life was never the same, for better or worse. It was never the same, man. It was never the same, man. I'm thankful for that moment, you know. And the only thing I feel like that sucks about that moment is I know that I'm so much bigger than that one play. I know I've had plenty of other plays, plenty of other catches.
It also made him a target of criticism and put him under a microscope, even among players around the NFL. December 14th, 2014, in just his 10th NFL start against the Washington Redskins, Beckham became the first rookie in NFL history to record at least 12 catches, 140 yards, and 3 touchdowns in a game. Despite playing just 12 games, Beckham was named Offensive Rookie of the Year after 91 receptions, 1,305 receiving yards, and 12 touchdowns, becoming the first Giant player to win the award. On January 7, 2015, Beckham replaced Calvin Johnson in the Pro Bowl due to injury, and he was the first Giant rookie receiver in franchise history and the first Giant rookie since 2002 to make the Pro Bowl. Following an impressive rookie season, of course his awards wasn't done. He became the youngest player ever and the third receiver in history to be placed on the Madden cover. And he wasn't affected by the Madden curse either, as he put up 1,450 receiving yards and 13 touchdowns on 96 catches during his second season in the league. But during Week 15 of 2015, in a game against the Carolina Panthers, Beckham and cornerback Josh Norman went at it. Odell and Josh were out of control for most of the first 3 quarters. Odell was flagged 4 penalties, including 3 personal foul penalties, and Odell was held to no receptions in the first half, but he finished the game with 6 receptions for 76 receiving yards.
You see what kind of player he is, and you pull back the layers of skin and you really see what it is. Film don't lie.
Did things between you and Norman go too far?
It's unfortunate we lost.
You and Norman didn't go too far?
Like I said, it's unfortunate we lost.
Odell, coach said that he thought you lost your composure in that first half. Agree with him?
Like I said, it's unfortunate we lost.
On December 21st, 2015, the NFL suspended Odell 1 game without pay for violations of the safety-related playing rules. He was a Pro Bowl selection for the 2nd year in a row and was ranked the 10th by his fellow players on the NFL Top 100. At the beginning of the 2016 season, in Week 3 against the Washington Redskins, featuring Josh Norman again, now on a new team, Beckham became the fastest player to reach 200 receptions by doing so in only 30 games. He finished the games with 7 receptions for 121 receiving yards as the Giants lost in a close game, 27-29. At the end of that season, Odell had 101 receptions, which was a career high, 1,367 receiving yards and 10 touchdowns, and was named to the Pro Bowl for his 3rd year in a row. The Giants finished 11-5, giving them a wildcard spot, and returned to the playoffs for the first time since 2011. But they lost 38-13 to Green Bay Packers. Beckham had 4 receptions for 28 yards in the loss. 6 days before that playoff game, he and among a group of other Giant players took a private jet to Miami to party on South Beach. The infamous boat trip became top of headlines after the photograph began to surface the following morning.
I don't really care what guys do on their day off, and I've said that here, but the problem is the world that a lot of these kids live in today, it's out there for everybody to see, and that's a bad look.
In that loss, Beckham dropped several passes, including a touchdown, and then punched a hole in the wall out of frustration at the end of the game.
Odell Beckham Jr. came by me, and I was standing there talking to the grounds crew, and they all said that Odell Beckham Jr. put the hole in the wall.
Many say that it was because of that trip he took is what caused him to perform so poorly and was one of his worst games up until that point.
When you go out your way to draw attention, whether it's on the field or off the field, you have to back it up. We know that as competitors. And when you go out there and you don't perform up to par, it's in the back of your head.
There was nothing that could connect 7 days ago to today and how we came out and played and executed. There's just nothing in the world that's not realistic. I think it did a great job at creating distractions for us. And it's unfortunate. That's just the way this world is.
2017 season was very limited due to injury. In a preseason game against the Browns, he suffered an ankle sprain. Due to the injury, Beckham missed the regular season opener. During Week 5 against the Los Angeles Chargers, he finished with 97 receiving yards and a touchdown, but left the game early with a fractured left ankle, which ended his season. In 4 games, there was 25 receptions for 302 yards and 3 touchdowns on the stat sheet. Before the 2018 season kicked off, he signed a 5-year extension worth $95 million, with a total of $65 million fully guaranteed. After a 1-3 start to the regular season, he sat down with ESPN and had some comments about the team and Eli, which sparked a lot of controversy.
I just want to be able to be the very best that I can, and I don't feel like I'm given an opportunity to be the very best that I can. I don't get 20 targets like some other receivers.
He was targeted 45 times up until that point, reeling in 31 catches for 301 yards with 0 touchdowns. And his average reception was 10 yards, which was down from his career average of 13.8 yards.
I feel like I'm being out schemed, and then I also don't have a chance to do something, or I got to take a slant and go 60. And not to say it's not fun, but it's like I want some easy touchdowns too. I watch everybody across the league. All the top receivers get the ball the way that they should, and if they don't, they say something about it.
To go on, he was inactive for the final 4 games of the season due to a quad injury. He finished the season with 77 receptions, 1,052 yards, and 6 touchdowns, and threw 2 passes for a touchdown as well. At the beginning of the year in 2019, Odell was in trade rumors. Following his comments about the team and Eli, Odell didn't have a good relationship with his quarterback or with the people in the front office with the Giants. But despite that, general manager Dave Gettleman insisted that Odell would not be going nowhere. A month later in February 2019, more trade rumors surfaced, but Gettleman stated again that Odell would not be traded. And then finally, March 12, 2019, he was traded to the Browns for a 1st round and a 3rd round pick. He finished his New York career with 390 receptions for 5,476 yards and 44 touchdowns. And he made 3 Pro Bowls. The 2019 season wasn't as productive as it was hoped to be. In Week 8, he was listed with a groin injury, but he decided to stick out the rest of the season and surpass the 1,000 receiving yard mark. He had 74 receptions, 1,035 yards, and 4 touchdowns at the end of the 2019 season. Which leads us to where we are now. In Week 7 against the Bengals, he left the game in the first quarter with a torn ACL, ending his season. He finished the year with 23 catches for 319 yards and 4 touchdowns, plus 2 rushes for 73 yards and a rushing touchdown in the 7 games he played. His career has hit a crossroad. He struggled to put up big numbers on a regular basis, but it's hard to know how much of his underperformance is down to him. Odell has dealt with injuries before, but nothing this serious as a torn ACL. His future is now surely a blurry one. Over the last 2 seasons, Mayfield and Odell have the worst completion percentage with 55.6% of any duo in the NFL with at least 100 attempts. Baker off-target ratio is also 10% with other receivers over that span and 28.2% with Odell. Clearly, it hasn't worked out to this point, and who knows if it ever will. A trade could possibly benefit both parties. Odell is still one of the best players in the league. He just needs to be in a place where he can perform well again. Best of luck, OBJ.